Okay, pay attention, guys. See, so I thought that power cut is there, no? So, okay, so I'll do that. I'll pause. Huh? UPS is cut. Okay, so next time when it happens, I'll pause. So, guys, I was talking about current repairs. Now, this current repairs and capital repairs. Capital repairs are those type of repairs. If you incur such type of repairs, no, the capacity or the value of your building will increase. For example, many students are coming to attend the lectures now. In one batch, I want to take more admissions, and in one batch, I want to accommodate more students. Okay. So, this classroom is very small. So what I did, I broke this wall and extended the classroom. Now don't you think, after breaking the wall and extending the classroom, the area increased? Earlier the classroom was small, so the value of the classroom was also less. Now the area of the classroom increased. Don't you think value of the classroom will also increase? Classroom which is a small classroom, hello, the premises which are small premises, the value of those premises will be less. And what if the area increases? The premises becomes big because I am extending or I am adding, then the value will increase, capacity will increase. Yes or no? Area, capacity, value is increasing by doing such repairs. I am incurring some cost of additions. I am constructing one more floor, or I am extending, cost of alterations, cost of additions, cost of extension, all these costs which I am incurring on my building. Because of that, the area, the capacity, the value of my building is increasing. These repairs costs are current in nature or capital in nature. Cannot be claimed as a deduction under section 30. We are not going to allow this expenditure at once, because usually these type of expenditures are big expenditures, capital expenditures, and we are not going to allow them under section 30. Do one thing, add that repairs cost to the cost of your building and claim that in small parts in the form of depreciation. We are not going to allow that under section 30. So full deduction of that amount cannot be claimed at once under section 30. Rather, you are supposed to add that repairs cost to your building's cost, and along with the cost of that building, that will be added, and in small parts it will be allowed in the form of depreciation. But you cannot claim it under section 30. Which repairs? Capital repairs. Which repairs? But the capital repairs will be done by owner, then it will be added to the cost of building. Yes or no? But what if that capital repairs are done by tenant? Meaning, you are not the owner of the building. You are using the building for your business or profession, but you are not the owner of the building. Can you also incur that capital repairs? Yes. For you also it will not be allowed as a deduction. It will be added to the... How can you add it? Building does not belong to you. So that cost will be treated as deemed building in your hands. That cost will be treated as deemed building in your hands, which you can claim in the form of depreciation. But for you also it will not be allowed as a deduction. So for example, let's take one example. I am an assessee. I am using my own premises, using my own building for my business or profession. Possible, not possible? Yes or no? And on that premises, I am incurring some capital repairs. Will it be allowed under section 30? What I will have to do? The capital repairs, cost of that capital repairs, I will have to add in the cost of my building. Will be allowed in small parts in the form of depreciation. Yes or no? But I cannot claim it under section 30. 30 gives the deduction only for current repairs. Current repairs, yes or no? Now tell me. I am not the owner of the premises, but I have taken a premises on rent. I have taken a premises on rent, building on rent. And I am using that building for my business or profession. Can I do that? And on that premises, I am incurring capital repairs. Can I do the extension work, addition work and all? Even if I am not the owner. I asked the landlord that, landlord, please get the extension done, no? Please add some extra space, no? Landlord said, no, I don't have money, I will not do it. If you want, you can do it. I said, okay, no problem. If you don't have any problem, I will incur that cost. So, even if the building, I am not the owner of that building, still I am incurring the repair cost. Cost of capital repairs. Yes or no? Will it be allowed as a deduction to me? No. For me also that is not allowed as a deduction. So that will be added to the cost. But cost, how can I add that amount to the cost of building? I am not the owner of the building, so I cannot add that amount to the cost of building. So do one thing, that capital repairs which you have incurred on the building, you are not the owner of that building, and on that building, whatever capital repairs you have done, that capital repairs you cannot add to the cost. So do one thing, consider that amount as your deemed building. Consider that amount as your deemed building, and that amount will be allowed as a deduction in small parts in the form of depreciation to you now. Will you remember this? Everyone? Okay. So see, the discussion which we have done so far, you are an assessee. Can you be any person? You are engaged in any business or profession. In this business or profession, a building is used. 4 types of expenses. Number 1. Number 2, rates and taxes. Number 3, repairs. And number 4, all these expenses will be allowed as a deduction. That's what section 30 says. If you are the owner of the building, you can claim these 3 expenses and not the rent. But if you are not the owner of that building, then you can claim all the 4 expenses. Even the rent which you have paid for that building will be allowed as a deduction. But you are not the owner of that building. Yes or no? Note 1. Notional rent debited to P&L account for own building used by a proprietor in his. Will it be allowed as a deduction? I have already given the example of Adarsh. If you remember, Adarsh was using his own building for his business or profession. Is he spending any rent? But still he is showing that rent in the P&L account. Will be allowed or will be disallowed? Will be disallowed. No deduction under the head PGBP or any other head. You are supposed to ignore this notional rent. Yes or no? Next one. Bhagyashree. Bhagyashree is owning a building, and that building which is owned by Bhagyashree is used by a firm where Bhagyashree is a partner. Yes or no? And for that the firm is paying rent also. So that rental expenditure will be allowed as a deduction in the hands of firm. Business income of the firm, from that business income this rental expense can be taken as a deduction. And for Bhagyashree, this rental income will be taxable under the head house property. So for Bhagyashree, the rental income will be taxable as house property income, LOP. Yes or no? And for the firm, that rental expenditure will be allowed as a deduction from the business income of the firm under section 30. Yes or no? Now what if Bhagyashree has given that same building but without taking any rent. Then, is there any rental expenditure to the firm? Will the firm get any deduction? No. Is there any rental income to the partner? So, partner is not going to show that under the head house property, and the firm is not going to claim any deduction. Yes or no? It will be as good as used by the partner for his own business or profession. No need to show this building under the head house property by the partner. Will you remember this? Sure, sir. Next one. Now see, this note number 2 is there now, 43B. Okay, I've already explained that there are certain expenditures. There are certain, I'm going to discuss all these expenditures in detail in section 43B. Right now, don't worry about that. Okay, no? So there are certain expenditures which are allowable under the head PGBP. They are your business expenses only. You can claim those business expenses as a deduction under PGBP, but they will be allowed only on payment basis, even though the assessee follows mercantile system of accounting, but these expenses will be allowed only on payment basis, meaning that they are supposed to be paid during the previous year, or they are supposed to be paid on or before the due date of filing the ROI. Then only these expenses will be allowed as a deduction. But if they are not paid on or before the due date of filing ROI, then those expenses will be disallowed. Will not be allowed as a deduction from this year's business income. Will be allowed out of the business income of that year in which they are actually paid. And those expenses also include T for taxes. Taxes, duties, cess related to your business or profession. And in that, rates and taxes of your building is also covered. Yes or no? Yes or no? So, repairs of building used in the business or profession. Current nature repairs, whether you are the owner or you are not the owner, current repairs will be allowed as a deduction under section 30. But what if the repairs are capital in nature? What is the meaning of capital repairs? The repairs which either enhances the value or capacity of the building will be allowed as a deduction, will not be allowed as a deduction. Under section 30, you cannot claim the deduction of capital repairs. That does not mean that the capital repairs will not be allowed only. It will be allowed, but in small parts, in the form of depreciation. If you are the owner of the building, add that amount to the cost of building. If you are not the owner of the building, add that amount to the cost of building. No, you cannot do it. So consider that amount as your deemed building, which you can claim in the form of depreciation. Will you remember this? Sure. Section 30 is over. Many teachers, many faculties take only 5 minutes to explain section 30. This much explanation is never given. If I would not have given this much explanation, I would have just told you, remember these 4 expenses will be allowed as a deduction. You would not have come to know only that you are supposed to remember these many things. Because any of these things can be there in the exam. And after the syllabus will be over, no, in this visit, we are going to finish the syllabus. After the syllabus will be over, no, just check the January 26 paper. You will come to know. Everything will be there which I will teach you in the class. But the paper was drafted in such a way, no, that the students started crying. Literally, many students have cried in the exam hall. After looking for the paper for 15 minutes, no, they were like, this is one of the toughest paper. But the paper was not tough at all. These small discussions which I am doing, no, if you don't pay attention to these items, no, 100% any paper will come, it will be difficult for you only. Not a single thing in the question paper was there which I did not, explain in my class. Everything I had explained. But if you don't remember all these things, you just do selective study, you don't pay attention to the details, then that paper was crafted in such a manner that these small points are exploited. Case scenarios, they were difficult according to the students. But according to me, the paper was just a little bit lengthy, that's it. The paper was not at all difficult because everything came from whatever I have taught in the class. But if you don't practice, if you don't revise, many students are inquiring for lectures. Just after January attempt, immediately within 2-3 days, I have started getting the inquiries. Sir, when is your next batch starting? Sir, when is your next batch starting? You want to attend live? Why? We have already attempted the exam, but we think somewhere we have not done the things conceptually correct. We have just gone and done selective studies, and because of that, our paper was bad. So we want to learn the tax, start from scratch. Are you going to do that thing again and again? So please pay attention to these things which I am telling you. Section 30 can be finished in 5 minutes. Now if you will read, now it will not take more than 5 minutes, more than 2 minutes to revise that entire section. But that section requires this much details which I have given you. So remember the important points discussed while taking the deduction under section 30. Okay, now section 31. Section 31. Now, if you are an assessee, you can be any person, yes or no? In your business or profession, can you use plant and machinery and furniture? Is it necessary that you will always use premises only? In the business, only the premises will be used, or you can use the plant and machinery and furniture also. Give me some example. Example is in front of you only. This projector is there, this camera is there, this computer screen is there, the benches on which you are sitting, this table, this chair. What are these assets? These are plant and machinery and furniture used in my home or used in my business or profession. So expenses related to these assets will also be your business expense. You can claim them as a deduction. Only 2 expense can be claimed under section 31. Only 2 expense can be claimed under section. And what are those 2 expenses? Check. Repairs of the plant and machinery and furniture. Cost of repairs will be allowed as a deduction. And any insurance premium of this plant and machinery or furniture will also be allowed as a deduction. Any other expense of this plant and machinery or furniture will be allowed or will not be allowed? Will be allowed, but not under this section. All those expenses are also relating to the same plant and machinery and furniture which is used in my business or profession. So those expenses are also my business related expenses. But those expenses I cannot claim under section 31 because 31 gives me the deduction for only 2 expenses. All other expenses relating to this plant and machinery or furniture can be claimed under different sections and not under this section. But they will be also allowed. Understanding? Best example is this camera I have taken on rent. Will I pay the rent of this camera? Yes or no? What is this? Plant and machinery used in my business, but I am not the owner of this plant and machinery. I have taken the plant and machinery on rent. And now I am using that plant and machinery in my business. I might take these benches also on rent. I have taken these benches on rent. This is a furniture. which is used in my business, but I am not the owner of this furniture. I have taken this furniture on rent. So can I use a plant and machinery or a furniture in my business, whether it is owned by me or not owned by me? Hello? The repairs and insurance premium will be allowed under section 31. But other expenses like this rent, will it be allowed under section 31? So you can claim it under section 30, no? 30, no? 30 was allowing the deduction for rent. So go and claim this under section 30 slabs you will get. How many slabs? 30 slabs. Because that was not the rent of plant and machinery or furniture which was allowed under section. That was the rent of the building. How can you bloody claim this rent under section 30? Section 30 specifically says that you can claim the rent of building. And how can you claim this rent of this plant and machinery and furniture under section 30? You cannot claim it under section. There is one section 37(1), general deduction. So any expenditure which is not covered by specific provision, but that expenditure is related to your business or profession, all such expenditures are allowed under section 37(1), general deduction. So you can go and claim this rent under section 37(1), general deduction, because this is also an expenditure related to your business or profession, but not specifically allowed under section 31 or any other section. Yes or no? Will you remember this? So tell me, are you the owner? You might not be the owner of this plant and machinery or furniture which is used in your business or profession. So any cost of repairs, any cost of insurance premium will be allowed as a deduction. Yes or no? But remember, repairs will be allowed only if they are capital or current. Only the current repairs will be allowed as a deduction. Capital repairs cannot be claimed under section 31 also. Oh, sir, what is the current repairs? See, plant and machinery, furniture. Okay. For example, this bench. Some part of the bench was broken. So I got it fixed. Is it a repairing to the furniture? Yes or no? Because of that, the value of my furniture will increase. Or just to keep the asset in the working condition, so that the asset could be, used in the business. So, to keep the asset in the usable condition in my business, to keep the asset in the usable condition in my business, I might incur some expenses. What happened? They can hear, no? Huh. So what did I say? To keep the asset in the working condition in my business, I might incur some repairing expenses. Because of these repairing expenses, the value, the capacity of my asset is not increasing. So those are known as current repairs. Those are known as, will be allowed as a deduction. See, machinery in my factory is working on a continuous basis. So what I did, for some time, I have stopped the machine and I have replaced the small spare parts, etc., so that the machine can run smoothly. So will I incur expenditure on that repair? That expenditure is incurred to keep the machine in its working condition. Some furniture was broken. I got it fixed. So what I am doing? I am incurring the expenditure to keep the furniture in its working condition. So all the expenditures which I will incur like this are current in nature, will be allowed under 31. But if some machine is there, I am doing some expenditure on that machine, repair expenditure on that machine, and because of that expenditure, the capacity of that machine increases. Earlier the machine was producing 10,000 units. After incurring this cost, machine started producing 15,000 units. Capacity of the machine got increased because of this repairing cost. I have repaired the machine and I have added one extra component in the machine. Because of that, the production capacity got doubled. Now this repairing cost increases the capacity, efficiency of my machine. This is not incurred to keep the machine in working condition. This is a repairing cost, but this is current repairs or capital repairs. Cannot be claimed as a deduction under section 31. That you consider as the cost of your plant and machinery, cost of your asset, and claim it in the form of depreciation. But you cannot claim it under section 31. Will you remember? Rent of plant and machinery or furniture which is used in, can you claim that rent under section 31? So claim it under 30. But can that rent be allowed? Yes, because that rent is also for this plant and machinery or furniture which is used in my business. That rent is also my business expenditure. But that cannot be claimed under section 31 and neither under section 30. But since it is my business expenditure, I'll be able to claim it under other section. And that other section is general deduction. Section 37(1). Yes or no? Now repairs of plant and machinery or furniture which is used in business or profession. If it is current repairs, then it will be allowed under section 31. If it is capital repairs, cannot be claimed under section 31. It will be allowed in small parts in the form of depreciation. Will you remember this? Section 31 over. Now there is one section 38. After 30, 31 is there, and after 31, 32 will come. Yes or no? In 32, depreciation is there. In section 32, today's entire lecture, remaining part will go in depreciation only. One of my favorite sections also. So whatever lecture is remaining now after this will go in depreciation. If you finish depreciation properly now, all other sections will start and it will end. It will start and it will end. Small sections are there. Understanding or not? But depreciation content is big and you have to remember many things in depreciation. Okay, no? Now pay attention. Depreciation is under which section? 32. Now see, be very careful. You are an assessee, okay, no? Assessee can be any person, individual, HUF, company, firm, any person, assessee is doing a business or profession. Now in this business or profession, different assets are used. What type of assets are used? Building, plant and machinery, furniture, yes or no? Now, for these assets, expenditure or depreciation on these assets, whether the expenditure is allowable under section 30, 31 or other sections, or the depreciation is allowable under section 32. Okay, no? So on these assets, whatever expenditure you will incur, either that expenditure will be allowed under section 30 or 31 or under other sections also. Yes or no? And on these assets, any depreciation will be there, that depreciation will be allowed under section 32. Understanding? Hello? Are you an assessee? Having a business or profession? In your business or profession, are you using assets? Any building, plant and machinery, furniture, yes or no? On those assets, are you incurring expenses? Those expenses are your business related expenses. So those expenses of those assets, on those assets will be allowed either under section 30 or 31 or other sections also. Yes or no? On those assets, depreciation can also be claimed under section 32. Now, whatever expenses or depreciation you are going to claim, whatever expenses or depreciation you are going to claim, shall be disallowed. Disallowed to the extent it relates to the use of such assets for any purpose any other than your business or profession. Read it, read it. And this is given in section number 38. So whatever expenses you are claiming, whatever depreciation you are claiming, full expense, full depreciation we will allow, full amount of that expense or depreciation we will allow if the assets are used only for business or profession. But sometimes it might happen that the assets are used for purposes other than business or profession also. So that same asset is used for personal purpose also, and the same asset is used for business or profession also. Motor car can be used in my business also, can be used for personal purpose also. Yes or no? Some camera is there, can be used in my business also, can be used for personal purpose also. So any asset, building, can be used for business also, can be used for personal purpose. Now any expense or any depreciation which is related to the use of that asset other than business or profession, that proportionate amount of expense or depreciation cannot be claimed as a deduction under PGBP head. Only the expense or depreciation which is related to the use of that asset for the purpose of business or profession, only to that extent the expense or depreciation can be claimed. So for example, if the entire building or the asset, any asset is used only for business or profession, then the entire expense, entire depreciation will be claimed as deduction. There will be no disallowance. Yes or no? But sometimes it is used for personal purpose, sometimes it is used for business purpose, or some part is used for business purpose, some part is used for personal purpose. Yes or no? So you have to now calculate the amount of expense, calculate the amount of depreciation, proportionate amount of expense, proportionate amount of depreciation which is related to the use of that asset for any purpose other than business or profession. That proportionate amount of expense, proportionate amount of depreciation which relates to the use of asset other than business or profession shall be, that is given in section. Will you remember this? Sure, no? And this thing many times they ask in the exam in the form of adjustment. Small adjustment they will give. We'll see, no, while solving the question. I am making you ready to solve the question on PGBP. But in that question, no, entire PGBP, all the provisions will be tested at once. Sometimes independent question will be there on a specific provision, like depreciation we are going to do. Yes or no? On depreciation, independent question can be asked. Section 35 AD will come. One or two more sections are there. So sometimes for some provisions, independent question can be framed, but not for all provisions. But if you want to calculate your PGBP income, you need to understand all the provisions. You need to keep in mind, only then you can solve that entire PGBP question. And I am making you ready for that main question. But in that main question, these things will come. Sometimes 2-3 provisions from here, sometimes 2-3 provisions, other provisions will be tested. But all these provisions should be kept in your mind. Only then you will be able to solve that full question. Getting my point? So while solving the question, an adjustment can be there. That the depreciation which is there, or the expenses of the asset which are there, okay, for that the asset is used, 1/5 of the use of the asset to the extent of 1/5 is treated as personal. It will be given in the adjustment. So what are you going to do? You are going to split your depreciation, you are going to split your expenses into 1/5 and 4/5. Only 4/5 relates to business, 4/5 will be allowed. And 1/5 which is not related to business will not be allowed. It will be disallowed. As per which section? 38. Got it, sir? Should I move ahead? Now comes my favorite section. Section number 32. Depreciation. Shall we? Okay. So see, this was section 38. Done. Assessee is any person using building, plant and machinery, furniture, means any asset is used for the purpose of business or profession. But proportionate depreciation and expenses on these assets. Proportionate depreciation and expenses on these assets, which is related to use of such asset for any purpose other than business or profession, shall be disallowed under section 38. I've already given. Okay. Now let's come to section 32. Okay. Before doing anything, you all tell me what is the meaning of depreciation. Come on. Tell me. What is the meaning of depreciation? Sanjana, tell me. What is your Sanjana, no? Sanjana, sorry, Sanjana, you tell me. What is your name? I forgot. Bhumika, sorry, Bhumika. Sanjana, you tell me. Reduction in the value of asset over a period of time. That is depreciation. Okay. Is she correct? Is she correct? Partly. So, what she missed? Tell me. Sorry? Apportionment of the expense. Okay. 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 Very good. Very good. Anyone else? Reduction in the value of asset over the number of years, efflux of time, this, that, everything we have done, no? Forget about everything. The reason for me asking you this question was that only. That whatever you know about depreciation, no, don't forget it forever. For taxation purpose, you are not supposed to remember all these things. Yes or no? You are going to remember only that thing which I am going to explain. If you will understand this logic now, depreciation will become very easy for you. See, assessee who is any person that assessee acquires. Assessee acquires. Acquires what? Acquires assets. Acquires assets for his business or profession. So when the assets are acquired, don't you think to acquire the asset, some cost will be incurred? to acquire the asset to be used in my business or profession, I will have to incur the cost to acquire that asset. That cost is known as cost to acquire the asset is known as actual cost of that asset. Do you incur this type of cost every now and then? So, is this actual cost revenue in nature or capital in nature? It is my expenditure, yes or no? But this expenditure is not revenue in nature. This is capital expenditure. This is capital expenditure. We all also call it capex. We also call it capex. Capital expenditure. Why capital expenditure? An expenditure which is incurred again and again on a recurring basis, that is a revenue expenditure. Hello? But any expenditure which is not incurred again and again on a recurring basis, that expenditure is known as what? Capital expenditure. So any cost of that asset is not incurred again and again. You incur that cost once and that asset is used in the business for many years. And after some years, when the asset is not usable anymore, you throw that asset and then you again incur that cost. But that happens after a long period of time. Understanding? So this expenditure is incurred once on the asset and that asset is used for number of years in your business. Okay. So now tell me, is this actual cost? Is it the actual cost of the assets which are used for the purpose of your? Tell me, even if it is a capital expenditure, don't you think that this is your business related expense? Isn't it your business expense? Kamal, tell me. Is it your business expense? Yes. Why? I am not doing this expenditure for my personal purpose. To run my business, I need assets. Yes or no? And I have acquired those assets for my business or profession. So I am incurring an expenditure for the benefit of my business or profession. So the expenditure is related to my business or profession. Yes or no? Should it be allowed as a deduction? Should it be allowed as a? But it should not be allowed at once. It should be allowed in small parts in the form of depreciation. So the year in which this expenditure will be incurred, in that same year, this entire expenditure will not be allowed. Because it is a capital expenditure, it is a heavy expenditure, the amount will not be a small amount will be a big amount. And just imagine, this much big amount you are claiming as a deduction out of the business income of that year. And that business income will be a very small amount. Don't you think this expenditure will eat the business income of that year? And still the expenditure will remain as a loss. And that will be eating your other incomes also. And if eating the other incomes means, it will be set off against other incomes also. So are you going to pay any tax? Why? Because the asset which is acquired for the purpose of business or profession, the cost of this asset was huge and this entire cost is allowed at once. Single time it is allowed as a deduction. That means it will eat your entire business income and other incomes of this year. And still this loss will remain. This will be carried forward to subsequent years also. And in the subsequent year also, this will eat all the incomes. So this will be very dangerous to give the deduction of this type of expense at once. So we are not going to allow this expense fully at once. Claim this expense in small parts in the form of depreciation. Understanding or not? And the claiming of this expenditure in small parts over the number of years is more logical. Why? Because this expenditure is incurred on the asset asset will be used in the business for only this year or for subsequent years also. This asset will help you to earn the business income of only this year or subsequent years also. Then why the cost should be allowed from this year's business income only? This should be allowed in business income of subsequent years also, no? So some cost will be allowed from this year's business income. Some cost will be allowed in next year's business income. Some cost will be allowed in subsequent year's business income, because the asset is going to be used for number of years. The asset is going to help you to earn your business income, professional income for number of years. So the cost of this asset should also be spread over the number of years in the form of depreciation. Will you remember this explanation? So what is depreciation? Depreciation is nothing but an allowance of the capital expenditure which was disallowed. Depreciation is nothing but allowance of that capital expenditure which was disallowed. So first of all, the moment you will incur this capital expenditure, this will be disallowed. This cannot be claimed as a deduction from this year's business income, disallowed. Okay, but out of this, some part you claim in this year and the balance part in the subsequent year's business incomes. Yes or no? This year, whatever capital expenditure is incurred, whatever actual cost is incurred, yes or no? That actual cost cannot be claimed in full at once in the year in which it is incurred. Yes or no? Therefore, disallowed in the year in which it is incurred. But it will be allowed in small parts with effect from that year in which it is incurred in the form of depreciation. So this is what depreciation is. For example, the cost of this camera is 5 lakhs. How much? I have incurred this 5 lakh rupees cost in this year. Can I claim this entire 5 lakhs from this year's business income? Disallowed. This year, 5 lakh will not be allowed. Now, out of this 5 lakh, some amount will be allowed in this year in the form of depreciation, and the balance amount will be allowed in subsequent years in small parts in the form of depreciation. Projector I have purchased for 1 lakh rupees. How much? Will it be allowed fully in this year? Then this year 1 lakh will not be allowed because this is a capital expenditure. But this 1 lakh, out of this 1 lakh, some amount will be allowed in this year and the balance amount will be allowed in subsequent years in small parts in the form of depreciation. Benches, this furniture, entire benches and everything, I purchased them for 10 lakh rupees. How much? Will it be allowed as a deduction in this year? This 10 lakh will be allowed as a deduction in this year. Then 10 lakh will be disallowed right now. But out of that 10 lakh, some amount will be allowed in this year as a depreciation and the balance amount in the subsequent years, in the small parts, in the form of depreciation. You got the logic of depreciation? What is depreciation? Reduction in the value of asset, blah, blah. No, don't remember all those things. Depreciation is nothing but actual cost of the asset. What did I say? Meaning capital expenditure, which you are incurring to acquire the asset. Yes or no? Which is not allowed at once, but is allowed in small parts in the form of depreciation. Understanding? Now, do you want to claim this cost? Do you want to claim this cost in the form of depreciation? Or you want to leave this amount? Would you like to claim this amount as a deduction in the form of depreciation? See, right now this amount is disallowed. We are not going to allow you fully, but we are going to allow you in small parts. Yes or no? In the form of? So you want to claim it as a depreciation? Yes or no? From your business income, if you will claim this amount in the form of depreciation, meaning your business income will come down. Your tax liability will come down. Yes or no? From business income, if something is reduced, meaning depreciation is allowed as a deduction, depreciation is reduced, your business income will come down, no? And if your business income is coming down, definitely your tax will also come down. So claiming the deduction for the depreciation is beneficial for you or not? Claiming the deduction for depreciation is beneficial for you or not? So would you like to take the benefit of claiming the depreciation? You will have to satisfy 3 conditions for that. How many conditions? First condition. What is the first condition? Asset must be a specified asset only. Asset must be a, so the asset which you are acquiring for the purpose of business or profession has to be any of these assets which we are specifying. So the assets which we are specifying, for those assets only you can claim the depreciation. Yes or no? Number 2. The assessee is the owner of that asset. Assessee is the owner of that asset. Okay, no? Next one. The asset must be used in business or profession. If all these 3 conditions are what? Satisfied. Most welcome. We are going to allow you the cost of the asset in the form of depreciation. First, asset is a specified asset. Second, you are the owner of that asset. Third, asset is used by you for business or profession. If all these 3 conditions are satisfied, we are going to give you the deduction of the cost of that asset in the form of depreciation. So one by one, we are supposed to first understand these conditions. And once we understand these conditions, why these conditions, what is the meaning of each condition, yes or no? Once we understand this, then we will learn how to calculate the depreciation on this cost. And that calculation is very important. And that calculation is given in section 32. Read with rule 5. Read with rule. So you have to do both the things together. Section 32, rule 5. If you combine both of them, you learn how to calculate the depreciation. Yes or no? So we'll start this thing after a break, because I don't want to leave this in between, because if I start the discussion of these 3 conditions, so it is going to take time. to finish this. Okay, no? So first take a small break, 30 minutes. After 30 minutes we are meeting and again we'll continue from here. Okay? Yes.